Welcome to the show. I hope everybody's doing great on this. Is it Monday? Is it Tuesday? I don't know what day it is. Whatever day it is, whatever you're watching, welcome to the show. I'm Mark Clark, your host. Special guest tonight. So excited. World traveler, a man of the world. My guest is Haki Ammi. He's the president of the Teaching Artists Institute. And when I say world traveler, he's a world traveler, educator, activist, teacher, brother. Welcome, Haki. How are you, sir?
Beautiful, bro. Thank you for the introduction, man. I would say I grew up on you, but I left Baltimore at age 19. I went into the Navy, so I was gone a little period of time. So I guess I missed part of you, but I saw the evolution of everything when I got back, and saw what you have been doing in your career, and so it's been great watching you over the past 20 years that I've been back in Baltimore. So I've been back a while, but right.
Well, man, you know what? It's a privilege to have you on the show. It was great seeing you last night. We saw some, I guess, like you said, some Baltimore figures last
Right.
night. I think it was kind of a special moment. We had the former mayor, Catherine Pugh, on. We had D.
Yeah. Uh,
Chase. I think you know them both well. Shout out
yes.
to Jarrell Jackson, who's watching live. But Eartha was like, look, man, Haki is doing great things in the
Thank
community.
you.
He's
Yes.
a
Yes.
world traveler. I see you out there supporting the community. So let's take me back, man. Let's find out about you. Where were you born? Where were you raised? You said
Certainly.
you did the military piece. Let's get into your story.
Right. Well, yeah, I've been born in Baltimore area, mostly the west side of Baltimore City, as well as Woodlawn area, but Emerson Village and Walbrook area. So we ended up going to Walbrook High School, and then I went directly into the United States Navy. Served 5.5 years. Was in mostly in Norfolk, Virginia, and I guess I ended up in the West Coast. But I've been a few places. Bahrain, Jebel Ali, Australia, a few places uh, during my period in the Navy. And so met a lot of people. More important, I met a lot of different people and cultures that, I mean, if you're growing up in Baltimore, typically, you know how they say sometimes people from Baltimore don't go very far. Even as a child, I mean, only place I would go is like down to North Carolina to visit my family, my my family members, and so it was a culture shock, in those regards. But fortunately, I was a balanced young man where they recognized the intelligence within me at that age, and so did 5.5 years. But I wanted to be back in Baltimore, and I felt that I could make a positive contribution to the community, and so came back and did some entrepreneurial things, and tried to be active in the community and managing my career, my life. And so uh, I will add, after I got out and did a few different things in the city, I joined the fire department, and so I'm actually a city firefighter, brother. Not many people don't know that about me, but I've
Right.
been, yeah, it's like 19 years now, man. I can retire in another year
What?
with my military plus. So I'm like, all right, let me figure this out. What's next on the horizon? And so, I mean, and I've been in some political spaces as well. I ran for office, and I mean, I'm on the Central Committee. Well, I was on what's called the State Central Committee in District 44, and I now currently sit on the Maryland board of the Maryland Legislative Black Caucus Foundation. So I've been there for 3 years. I'm the parliamentarian for the Maryland Legislative Black Caucus Foundation. But my own thing is the president of the Teaching Artists Institute. So that's kind of one of the operations that I'm building on now.
So we definitely want to talk about that. I'm curious, man. What's your take on what's happened in Tennessee? Politically. You know, I mean, it almost felt like a throwback.
Mm,
The time almost feels like a throwback in time, and what's kind of happening with and politically with certain groups making kind of moves, and it almost feels like there's on one hand there's with coverage of Instagram and the coverage of social media, there's on one hand a lot of conversations, but at the same time, it almost just like the news cycle seems like almost out of sight, out of mind, and it's almost like as a community, it feels like we I don't say paralyzed, but not a lot of movement. People talk a good game on social media, but we don't see a lot of action. And I think sadly, our generation is almost I don't know if it's a sign of the times, almost would be known as the no action generation in a lot of ways.
mm,
So, but on the flip side, here you have these two
yes.
young people who actually are about that action. So, what's your take on that, and what do you think it means, and what do you think is going to be the outcome?
Well, I'm motivated. I'm inspired. I'm actually proud that some young men took a stand that must be taken. I'm looking forward to seeing something like that happen in Congress. And man, when I watched it live, the Tennessee hearings, and well, the aftermath. I didn't see the protests because somebody texted me was like, "Turn, watch this, watch what's going on in Tennessee," and I was like, "All right." So, and I heard them questioning the Republicans questioning the the Caucasian woman, and I mean, I'm sitting there listening, and I'm just like, man, they sounded like the reverse of January the 6th. I'm like, listen, I'm like, are they really saying these things? Like, I mean, they were just like, we have rules for how we should get along, and I was just like, wow, like they totally flipped the script, and I'm just looking like, I mean, and what are they fighting for? What were they fighting for on January the 6th? When you think about it, so false issues that aren't authenticated, but we know the damage that these guns have caused over the years. And so, I mean, just enough two today, one yesterday, Louisville, and I think something happened in Atlanta. Today, it's like, you know, it's almost like every day I lose track and count, and I'm
Yeah,
just like, and uh, I mean, I feel that it's drawn, the right attention, and sometimes people, there are certain things in time that you got to seize the opportunity, and some issues are bigger than you. Some issues are bigger than your career, your family, I mean, I ain't gonna say your family, but on some levels, it's like what they say: sacrifice the one to save the many. And so thank you, Terrell. And that's why I feel like that's what they did. They put themselves and their careers and their future on the line to stand up for a bigger cause than themselves. It had me teary eyed, honestly. So, I'm just proud that, on this particular issue at the right time, that they said, no, we're going to take a stand, and whatever happens, uh, let the chips fall where they may. And so standing up for our children, if you can't go out any other way in your life and your career, that is the way to go out. So yes.
yeah, and it's interesting. You're interesting because you actually have you're a fireman. You have a job, a public service job, but also you're very active politically, and then in your personal life, you also are active from a standpoint of making. You made decisions that you have an upcoming event we'll talk about. But
Sure,
so
sure.
tell us about that. You're from Baltimore. You joined the
Right.
Navy in a sense, and you see the world.
Mm-hmm.
Did you come from a household that had that expansive worldview? Did joining the Navy at a young age put you in that space? How did you come to be, somebody who kind of had a world vision and also a community vision?
Yeah, well, and I say, and I always quote my co-author, Dr. George Fraser, and I wrote a book with Les and George, right? I sent you a picture of that, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
right. But I always quote Dr. George Fraser, and he says, you can be average and white and be a leader of a major corporation, but if you're average and black, you may end up being in jail. So it's an unfortunate reality. I mean, and I understand. I'm gonna put in context of what he was saying, and I understood it because just coming up, just being honest now that I reflect, I during my earlier years, I did just enough to get by. Like, all right, if I pass, that's good enough. I didn't think far ahead. Like, okay, I needed to excel. I needed to be the top. I needed to be the best. It was just like what I need to do to get past. It was like a scarcity mentality, a survival mentality. And I look at it as even for instance in those that are in Baltimore City, there may not be many great opportunities for you if you just barely graduate high school, or if you just get C's all throughout all throughout your high school and college or whatever. You may not necessarily be wanted or desired in this society. And so I wouldn't say that I had that all of the knowledge uh, that I do now, of course, but I will say that not having that wisdom when I got into the Navy and I began to see different people, and I thought about as I began to grow, what could have happened, for instance, if I didn't leave, the urban environment, but also not just that was just a step, of course, but what if I did not like educate myself and started taking college classes and started being around positive, successful people? Everything comes from a thought. And
Mm.
so if you don't put positive thoughts into your mind, you may not get positive actions. And so that is how I begin to transform myself, just from some people. I mean, I don't tell people I was a gangster, because I talk to talk to people in the streets, and they'd be like, "Nah, man, you weren't a gangster, bro. You were a choir boy." I mean, and I wasn't like a choir boy, but it's like people. And I tell people, like, yeah, you're right, I wasn't. I really wasn't. So okay, let me just I say I wasn't. So, but some of us, we like to pretend, what I'm saying, or whatever. We try to hang with the hard crew or whatever. But fortunately, I didn't get in any major trouble. And so the positive thing that I did, like early in my Navy career, I began reading, brother Mark, and I always tell people I read a book by Haki, Black Men, Single, Dangerous, Obsolete, and one of the things he said in that book, he said reading should be like eating and sleeping.
Mm.
And so from age 20 to like age 31, I kept reading and reading. And so from age 20, I read like 100 books a year for 11 years on a diverse amount of topics, really just expanding my mind and increasing my literacy, my knowledge, and trying to learn the skills that I need to be a better man, first and foremost, be a better brother, son, community leader. And so that really opened me up to the possibilities of what I can accomplish. Because let's be real, not everybody's going to travel everywhere. And although I went in the Navy and met different people, there was still, when you're young and you may not have mentors to kind of guide you, if they're not right there, like do this, do this, do this, like positive father. I mean, my father's in my life now. He's always been, but he wasn't always like do this, do this, do this, do this. So sometimes you have to like figure these things out, and and books became like the examples, wisdom, scholars, people that had advanced degrees. So I felt like at an early age when I was reading these books by these pretty high intelligent people, I felt myself growing, and that's where the light came on in my mind about what's going on in the world. And so and we have a part to play in terms of transforming ourselves to not be a victim anymore. So I don't, I mean, we all have choices in this world. I certainly believe that, and we have to gain wisdom in all that we do. So I'll just say that, brother.
And you want a shout out to my man Kevin Reynolds, who
Thanks,
always
Kevin.
Kevin
Yes.
is checking us out from Columbia.
Okay.
And
I mean, yes, sir.
Kevin
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother.
moved to Columbia, not Columbia, Maryland, Columbia. Moved because he was tired of being in the United States. And
You mean South America?
Yep.
Oh, sidebar. Tentatively, we'll talk about that. But the vice president, first black woman vice president in Colombia, she may be coming next week. But we'll
What?
talk about that. Yes.
Wait a minute,
to
Kevin.
Baltimore.
That's awesome. And
What's her? Yeah, I'll look up her name, Maria something. But yes. But she'll be in Baltimore, brother. Yes.
And so, Haki, you mentioned your love of books and what it gave you, but then to write a book with Les Brown and George Fraser we're going to say our, I guess, to be honest, compared to you, our elders. How did that come about? And I know both of them, talked to them.
Great,
I know they had influence, because that's the thing. I was, Les has been around a long time.
right.
But he's still as powerful as he's always been.
Indeed.
And I have this, I'm working on my book, Reinventing Mark Clark, Reinventing. It's called Reinventing You. And I don't even know if Les has reinvented it. He just has been relevant the whole time.
Right.
And then George Fraser is the same thing, sir. So how did you guys get together and talk to us about their influence on you, and then also what you guys did together?
Certainly. Well, and I would say I think I found out about George Fraser like before Les Brown, strangely. I mean, Les is, speaks pretty, on many different stages, and he has millions of views everywhere. But I mean, I've heard about the Power Networking Conference, and several years ago, a pastor, what's his name? He's in Randallstown. He brought George Fraser to the convention center. And Dr. Fraser, I said something like, I've been wanting to come to the Power Networking Conference, Dr. Fraser. And he said, well, don't want to do nothing anymore, or something to say, you need to just come. And so, it was interesting. And I went with some Prince George's County folks, Trevor Otts and Shay Brown. I don't know if you know those guys. Yeah. But I went down to Dallas, actually, for the first Power Networking Conference that I went to. And I was just blown away. And one of the books that I read was called Think and Grow Rich. It's like the Bible of inspirational, motivational teachings. And so one of the chapters, and I'm sort of paraphrasing, it talks about finding the leaders in every top organization, or studying the greats, or meeting the greats and working with the greats. So Dr. Fraser was promoting for this opportunity to be in this book. And, many people, because I also, Brother Mark, I've been like marketing books. Many people know I used to sell books like not door to door, but like I would carry books like anywhere. And because I felt like if I learn and different books transform me, it can do it for other people. And so many people told me before, like, you need to write a book. And so I thought, okay, well, I mean, I'm kind of already marketing and getting people to read other people's books. But when George, like Dr. Fraser, spelled it out, and with him and Les Brown, I was just like, man, this could really, boost my, prestige, if you will, build my clout, if you will, the credibility or respectability. And I mean, I'm still the same person. I've been the same person, but it just, because we had to apply for this, they weren't just letting anybody get up in that in a book with them. They're not putting their brand and attaching it to some people that just kind of woke up and just said, "I want to be in a book with you, bruh." You know, none of that. So they took me through an interview process where people screen me to make sure that I'm of the right mind and the caliber that they want to partner with. And so they considered it mutually respectful. Obviously, they more older and more successful than myself, but to lend their brand to me, I considered it an opportunity and honor, and so I sacrificed, for it, because it wasn't like free to just be a part of this. You got to pay to play in this world. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So if you want to go to a next level, you're gonna have to, you know, uh, pause your ego, right? Egging God out, and work with individuals and be mentored, be willing to be coached and mentored by these individuals. And so it's been like a total program for me, not just being in a book. I mean, we were in a film together. I interviewed uh, Dr. Fraser several times. I mean, we've been up and down different events together, and he's coming next week too. But Dr.
Wow.
George Fraser is. But I mean, Les Brown's children. We've done some interviews with them, and got like a session with them before. But and I've been a few places with Les. We spoke at Morgan together once. That was it. I was like, all right, that's good enough. I'm happy to, say that I spoke on the same day in the same building at the same university, at the same event that Les Brown spoke in. So I'm just like, all right, so I'll figure out what's next after that. But so yeah, so it's just been a phenomenal experience, just watching them grow over years. Oh, but the key thing has been like, I mean, they get paid, like, bro, Mark, they get paid to speak like places, and the valuable thing for me, like, has been sometimes, when Dr. Fraser and I did a book signing in DC and Baltimore, just being in a car with him for, an hour has been like, I mean, just the jewels that he dropped changed my
Mm.
life on different levels, like, waking me up to about different things. And so here I am now, just continuing to build on their legacies, I would say.
I love it. And so, talk to us about the Teaching Artists Institute and, like you said, the upcoming events featuring the people that you're talking about.
Right. Thank you. So I came on board Teaching Artists Institute probably about 3 years ago. Actually, partially during COVID as the president. It was already established 3, 4, 5 years ago, 7 years ago. Uh, and Sister Kim Poole, she's out of the Baltimore area. She's a singer, artist, performer. There's an elder that's just surrounding, a few uh, unofficial people that's surrounding it. But during COVID, actually, there was a conference. Well, previously, we were attempting to put a conference together in Tanzania. Teaching Artists Institute, before myself, has done conferences in Ghana, Uganda, the Gambia. And so the opportunity, because people thought I already been to Africa, but I did not. And I was waiting for the opportunity. I mean, many people go on tours, et cetera, but I just like, okay, I mean, there's work to be done here. No, disrespect or, how people feel about people just that travel. But, I thought, okay, I see a lot of people, knowing about the world. People are doing major business in Africa. And so we went there and during COVID, because Tanzania was the only country that actually stayed open. Well, Madagascar, I think, some other country, I believe, stayed open. So we did a audit. It's called an Artisan Conference, which is a play on art and citizen. So we did that in 2020. Amazing experience, and then uh, we went to South Africa for the next this fifth Artisan Conference, and then Kenya just 2020, and this year we will be in Zimbabwe But but we have some things before that still. Tanzania is like a core place, so we have some tours that we're doing, investment tours and an elders legacy tour, as well as a relationship. The sister doing a relationship retreat in Tanzania that we're affiliating. But we also do what's called a Summer Learning Institute
Hmm.
in Tanzania this year, where individuals from here can get college credits. So those are some things, but we also we did a lot in Africa, but many people we met with a sister here that partnered with, as we were discussing, you know, global college and global learning. A sister said, "Well, y'all should do something around the civil rights and like a trip, like a college education." And so we put together what's called the Freedom Rides. So last year we
Love
took
it.
like 31 young people, 36 young people through I'm sorry, through 10 states last year. So, and we're about to do it again in June. So that's like a 7 day, 10 state trip. And, we go through all the different, major historical places. But so that's coming up, in June. But just, and what I was mentioning to you, I know I went a long round, but we're actually going, my aunt is Dr. Miriam Summers. She's the president of the Baltimore Area National Action Network, and that's the Reverend Al Sharpton's group. We love Reverend Al, keeping it real, Al Sharpton. um, so so he has a major conference coming up. It's actually probably starting today or tomorrow. But we're taking a bus up there. We got about 40 something people so far leaving Baltimore, going up there. Uh, so shout out to my aunt for organizing that. But then in Baltimore, this the big thing. Uh, Next week in Baltimore is the State of the Black World Conference, and we just had a press conference yesterday with the mayor of Brandon Scott, and it was at the convention center. Dr. Ron Daniels is the president of the Institute of the Black World. I mean, you have some big wigs coming to Baltimore next week. The president of Ghana,
Hmm.
the like I said, the vice president of Colombia, the prime minister of Barbados, Mia Motley, the prime minister of Grenada, former prime minister of Jamaica, PJ Patterson. Let's see, Mark Moyo of the Urban League.
Hmm.
Who else we have? Sheila Jackson Lee, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, actor Danny Glover, uh, Dr. George Fraser. Who else? Let's see. I may have a list somewhere, but who am I missing? Oh, Akon's not coming. He was supposed to come, the rapper, but who else? Dr. Julius Garvey,
Hmm.
the son of Marcus Garvey. Uh,
What?
yeah, yes, in Baltimore, brother. Yeah, so this is pretty big. But I mean, like the president of Ghana, and that's one thing I know. It's like presidents not. I mean, most time they in New York, they in DC, and I know the president of Ghana went to Atlanta before, but like look, this is our city. I just figure we should have more people than other. I know some buses are coming because the conference was in Newark 5 before COVID, so they have a bus coming down from Newark. So I just don't want Newark outshining us. So
Do you know how do we get how do we get tickets, or how can we attend and support?
yes, ibw.org, www.ibw, that stands for Institute the Black World .org,
I want to
and
pronounce that. He said IBW
.org.
org.com.
You could, or is it just .org? I
Oh,
think it's.
I, okay.
Let me see. I think it's just www.org. Let me pull it up. Should be just uh, ibw.org. Yeah, let me see. Like .org, like organization.
Okay.
Let me see.
IBW.org.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see it. Yep, this is that's it. So So we're excited about and interesting. Sister Kim Poole. She's not a hip hop artist, but the Teaching Artists Institute. She's a soul jazz singer, but you know, they reached out to her because of her work in global, making these connections throughout the African world, and they wanted to do an honoring of hip hop. It's the 50th year of hip hop, and so we have some artists coming from definitely in the United States, and we wanted some artists from Africa, but they're going to do some video. They couldn't get their visas in time, but we have some local, but also regional artists, and we partnered. One of the partners is with the Hip Hop Caucus, and that's Reverend Yearwood. And then there's a brother with the Hip Hop Congress. He's up in like the Northwest area, so he's going to be coming down. So, it's going to be dope. Let me use hip hop lingo. It's going to be dope, that part of it. But it's other discussions. But that's the part that the Teaching Artists Institute is going to facilitate. So, like Chuck D said, the future of hip hop is in Africa. So I'm a figure it out, bro. I'm gonna be the P Diddy, the Black American P Diddy in Africa. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. So I'll figure it out somehow.
It's interesting. I'm trying to pull up the thing. For some reason, I don't think it's coming up, but we'll have to maybe IBW. Because again, this is great. This is. I wish I could have. We need to get some coverage as far as.
Yes. We just had, and I'm sure your peoples will have some footage because they were there for the press conference.
Okay.
I don't know if this is the right one. Wait a minute. Am I the? Yeah. Let me make sure. Yeah, because that's. Let me find. Because I have a. Yeah, it says IBW. It may be HTTPS, but hold on. Let me send it to myself, and then I'll just post it in the comments if I may.
Okay. Yeah.
Let me see. I got a link right here. Okay. I'm gonna send it to myself, and let me pull it up, and I'll just post it in the comments.
And also, how can we get your book?
Yes, thank you for offering. The website, my website is Success Scholar, HAKI.com, www.successscholarhaki.com. So, yeah, maybe it just
okay. Success Scholar,
all right,
Haki.com, right?
Right, correct. Brother Ronald, right. Thank you. Hold on. Let me see. Let me. Okay, where's the chat? All right. Well, I can't get to that. Am I allowed to put it in the chat?
Yeah.
Oh, well, hold on. I can't see where I'm going to put it. Oh, wait a minute. Well, I'll tell you what. I just put it in a private chat. If you can see that, let me see. It's not letting me.
Oh, it's not letting you. Okay.
Access the chat, the comments. So I just put in the private chat if you can see that. But thank you for that.
Oh, awesome. Okay, got you.
Yeah, so I don't know.
IBW21.org.
Oh, really? Oh, man.
Yeah, IBW21.org. That's
okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. All right. Thanks for the clarification. Yeah, so we're definitely looking forward. I mean, my man George Fraser, when I knew he was going to be a part of it, coming here to Baltimore, I said I got to get on it. That's my guru, if you will. So I'm like, let me, and then there's some free dates. Let me just plug that the first open plenary, which is a global African discussion, is open to the public, and then there's a second one with Mark Moriel the second night. So the first and second night are both open to the public and free. So they wanted some opportunities for individuals to just be a part and listen and learn, just to feel like, they opened it up to everybody, not to, like, if I may quote Westmore, leave no one behind, right?
It's so interesting. This is such a big deal. It feels like it would get more coverage, but here at least we're out here and we can post this and
Right,
people
right,
can
right.
share this. So
Right. Well, and and I mean, I'm pleased. I mean, to his credit, Mayor Brandon Scott came through in the clutch for us, yesterday. So, I mean, because they were a little behind with getting it, and these are older Baba's, 80 years old, and
yeah,
it's only one like real strong connected on the ground team, and that's why I was like, let me at least be the glue. Like I went to Annapolis last night. That was the last day of the session. I made, had my little hustle cards, my little party promotion cards. Like, all right, let me get it into the hands of the right people. Because, I figure here's the thing. My thing is, whatever you want to do, you can find, if you can, kind of deploy, if they really believe in a particular cause, influencers like we've been doing on the Monday morning. I'm
yeah,
sorry, the Monday evening. You could plug into some people that can deploy 20 to 30 people or the right people. That's what all you need to do, and that's been my job to to know who the influencers are and work with them. Like I remember you said a story about how I think that was the first night. How I don't hope they not watching, but somebody that you were promoting their services and you were making the money, and you asked them for, can you pay $50 or $100 per
oh
month,
yeah,
and you ain't see them no more. I'm like,
yeah,
look, I mean, and that's where I feel like we got to be able to, you know, create value for each other and show appreciation as
yeah,
well to
yeah,
to say, okay, look, we if we've accomplished enough in our life, like we're not going to starve. Like
right,
let's sometimes it's not going to be for me. Like even with this conference, I'm feeling like there's some child in Baltimore
mm,
that can, find his way, find a flyer and just say, I want to go, and just it could open up their whole world to possibilities. Man, if I would have gone and heard from a president and say that, Mama, I just heard the president of Ghana, you know, I would, Brother Mark, I would have been like Michael on Good Times, you know what I'm saying? Like for real. Just imagine. And that's what I feel like what's happening with this opportunity in Baltimore, once in a lifetime opportunity. So I say if, somebody can get a young person there, uh, however, for one day, 2 days, just let them meet people, let them hear from people. Because you remember years later, like sometimes I think, when I heard amazing people speak, you remember their message deep in your
yeah,
mind. And that's where, the growth happens, the transformation happens, the belief, the faith
mm,
that you can do better, whatever your circumstances are, whatever you come from, that if somebody else has gone through something perhaps even worse than where you were,
yes.
you can overcome those challenges as well. And so that's the hope that we have to create and speak life into our community.
Look at that. Well, look at that. Drop the mic, Haki. That's awesome, man. And you're
Thank you,
absolutely
brother.
right. I have no doubt. I remember I saw Muhammad Ali when I was 12. He came to Springfield, Illinois, and he said, I swear he looked at me. And it was funny.
Mm.
As he was looking at me, my mother said, he's looking Muhammad Ali's looking at you. And like you
Oh,
said,
wow.
that I'm 56. This was forever burned on my mind.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
got nervous because I thought he was going to pick me.
Wow.
But you're right. Your point is so true. Like,
Mhm.
and let's keep it real. Us grown people meeting the president of Ghana, grown people meeting,
Indeed.
executives from
Indeed.
different countries has a huge impact because these people are making big moves. And like you were saying, Africa is wide open. And I mean, people like you're so well seasoned. You are very familiar with the landscape in a lot of these countries. And a lot of people, that could be life changing, instead of going to I heard somebody say Miami. I've been to Miami a million times.
Mhm.
Imagine if you say, this time I'm going to go with Haki to Tanzania. I'm going to go to
Mhm.
another country and make some connections. Maybe who knows? I might retire or buy some land. I mean, the
Right.
opportunity, the possibilities are endless. So thank you, my friend, for joining us on the
Yes,
podcast.
yes,
As we
sir.
wrap things up, anything, I got your website at the bottom. If you want to order his book, you can go to the website. What's your parting words as we wrap things up?
Certainly. Well, I just want to thank everybody. Thank you, brother, for this amazing opportunity. You're definitely a positive inspiration to many and to your family, of course, who when I used to live in Prince George's County, I would see y'all a lot more on, television. Y'all had such a positive family chemistry. And, we would peep into your whole life. And I just certainly appreciate that opportunity, just having that realness with everybody. And so, for me, it's about, service. Life is about service. And ultimately, we have to say that our lives matter. And so I feel that presenting these different opportunities for my community, that I'm doing the Lord's work. And so that's my mission, my ministry, if you will. So I just want to thank you again, and look forward to many opportunities to keep building with you, brother. Thank
I
you.
thank you, my friend, and we definitely going to do that again. The conference is going to be in the area. Make plans. We're going to, again, this is, if you're watching this live, thank you for the support. And whenever you're watching this, because we're going to post it and put it on our different platforms. But at the end of the day, this is a rare opportunity to meet some great leadership, including Haki and also George Fraser and those from around the world, including the president of Ghana, and I think you mentioned others, but I'm excited about that, and hopefully my man Kevin, who's living in Colombia, to see his but vice president, or I know she's coming, so just exciting times. Let everybody know, and I'll meet you there. Let me get my suit ready, get my tie ready, because it's going down. So again, Haki, thank you so much for joining us. Okay,
thank you, brother.
All right, take care.
Thanks a lot.